Hi, welcome to Wycliffe Geography. Today we're looking at the Urban Issues and Challenges section, which is about a UK city, and our example is Stoke-on-Trent. Looking specifically at 6 more questions about this aspect of it, which is an example of a regeneration project in a UK city. So a bit of background information. Section 7, an example of an urban regeneration project in a UK city. So our UK city, our example is Stoke-on-Trent, and the centre of Stoke-on-Trent in terms of its CBD, Central Business District, is Hanley. There's a number of different things that have happened. So the Smithfield development in the western side of Hanley, that's got new council offices, it's where the police station is, the library's going to be relocated there, also there's going to be office complex, there's going to be a hotel there. You've then got the new Tesco area, Costa Coffees, a Premier Inn, Brewers Fayre. More recently there's a new Tesco being built there. Next, we've got the Pottery shopping centre that's recently had an extension. It's called the Hive, so it's got a cinema complex, restaurant complex, and also at the bottom left there you can see the bus station. The bus station has been redeveloped in the last kind of 5-10 years, and that replaces a kind of a very old bus station that was in need of redevelopment. So a lot of regeneration has taken place. So here we have a sample question, which is explain the reasons for an urban regeneration project that you have studied. So explain, so give reasons. The reasons is, don't give the impacts, I only want the reasons why it's happened. Then I want to show what urban regeneration is. Do you know what it is? And then talk about the regeneration in the CBD of Hanley. And of course you've got to name Hanley and Stoke-on-Trent in your answer. Here we've got the command word structure for explain. The key thing I'm going to focus on here is the green box on the right hand side. Those are explain connectives, or things you need to do in your sentence to explain something. This is due to, this is caused by, meaning that, this results in, knock-on effect of this is. You know all these, so include those in your answer. I would suggest maybe writing 2, maybe 3 paragraphs before your conclusion. Just make sure they're well detailed. If you struggle with some command words for extended questions like 6 and 9 more questions, feel free to use this multi-tool structure. This one does not change. So words like discuss, assess, explain, evaluate, to what extent, if you struggle with those, pause, have a glance through and use this structure. Here we've got the assessment objectives, AO1, AO2, AO3. So AO1 is knowing good geography stuff, data, geography words, place names, examples. AO2 is understanding geography stuff. Can you explain it? This means that, this results in, a knock-on effect of this is, due to, so, because, and the list goes on. AO3, we've got the conclusion. So make a decision. To make a decision, you'll use words like this is important, this is significant, this is effective, or this wasn't effective, this is successful, or wasn't successful. Back to the question, which is explain the reasons for an urban regeneration project that you have studied. I would suggest you do an introduction, name the place you've studied, use some words from the question in your answer, so the word urban regeneration, for example. Paragraph 1, explain the reasons for the urban regeneration project in your first paragraph, AO1, AO2, AO3. Then in your next paragraph, explain your second reason, AO1, AO2, AO3. I would much rather you do 2 paragraphs, but include lots of AO1s, AO2s, AO3s, than 3 or 4 paragraphs that are not as detailed. Conclusion, use these words here, significant, important, effective, successful. You might want to look at the short term, the social, economic, and also maybe the long term. This is the kind of space that you would have to answer your question. So your introduction is going to be the first couple of lines, your conclusion is going to be the last 3 or 4 lines. So you can see here your first peel paragraph, your second peel paragraph. There's not a lot of room there, so you've got to kind of really get into it straight away, including the AOs. Here's the mark scheme. So level 1, level 2, level 3. Level 1 is a limited or a basic understanding. Level 2 is a clear understanding, and level 3 is a thorough understanding. And that's where it kind of goes similar as if you're reading a textbook. That's level 3. Here's a sample answer. So it's got AO1, AO2, AO3. AO1 is in red, AO2 is in orange, AO3 is in green. Down the left hand side you've got the introduction, Peel 1, your explanation, you've got Peel 2 and also your conclusion. So in Stoke-on-Trent there had been very little investment in the CBD of Hanley for many years. An urban regeneration project therefore took place on the brownfield sites in this city. Some of the reasons for this was there was an increase in the amount of derelict land due to the closure of buildings. That was like the tile factory and the ABC cinema. Some shopping areas, such as the East-West precinct, were left derelict. Also, there was a demolition of Unity House, and that left the derelict land to the south of the CBD. This leads to areas looking very run down, and it was unattractive to locals and potential investors. This is important because improving or funding through regeneration could be difficult if investors are not attracted to the area. The old bus station, which was built in the 1970s, had become run down, and the into Pottery shopping centre had received little investment since opening in the 1980s. In conclusion, the most significant reason for the regeneration project throughout Stoke-on-Trent was the lack of investment over many years. A knock-on effect of this has been the increase in derelict land, putting locals and potential visitors off the area. So when you've done yours, glance through it, can you spot the AO1s, AO2s and AO3s? Here we've got the next question about regeneration projects, which is: refer to the main features of an urban regeneration project that you have studied and discuss the positive and negative impacts for different groups of people. So, the regeneration project, we're talking about Hanley CBD. The main features, it says at the top there 3 or 4. To be honest, I would rather 2 or 3, but explained really well. Make sure you know what urban regeneration means. You don't need to define it, but weave it into your answer somewhere. Discuss the positive and negative impacts. Make sure those are pretty balanced, the positives and the negatives. And when we're thinking about groups of people, maybe a couple of groups of people. Is it going to be young, old, locals, businesses, families, visitors, tourists? You choose a couple that you think you can write the best about. Here we're going to use the word discuss, and actually we're going to use the multi-tool structure so you can see how this does work, because there's a lot of similarities between discuss and the multi-tool structure. And you can see the intro in the yellow box, the peel positives, the peel negatives, and make a conclusion. The question itself talks about the positives and the negatives. Therefore, this fits in exactly what we want to do, and it's really similar to the discuss one. As ever, we're talking about the assessment objectives, AO1, AO2, AO3. AO1, knowing good geography stuff, data, geography words, place names, examples. AO2, explain your ideas, this means that, this results in, and knock-on effect of this is, due to. AO3, make a decision. So using words like significant, important, effective, or successful. Here's the question: what's it actually going to look like in terms of a structure? So refer to the main features of an urban regeneration project that you have studied and discuss the positive and negative impacts upon different groups of people. So introduction. You might talk about an extent. Has it been successful or not? Paragraph 1. Look at the positives for a named group of people. That group of people might be locals, businesses, tourists. It might be local residents. Might be visitors to the area, might be the young, old, families. You decide. Make sure there's AO1, AO2 and AO3 in there. Secondly, maybe talk about the negative impacts upon a different group, whether that be young, old, residents, locals, tourists. You decide which group that is. Make sure there's AO1, AO2, AO3 in there. And at the end, of course, write a conclusion. Does the impacts upon the positives, does that outweigh the impacts on the negatives? You decide. So words like significant, important will definitely be a couple of your words. Maybe it's a short-term impact on one, but a long-term impact on the other. And you might want to be thinking about the social, economic and environmental, depending how it fits in. So for example, if you've chosen local businesses, that might be economic. If you've chosen local residents, that might be social. Here we've got the kind of space that you would have to write this down. Your first couple of lines is going to be your introduction. Your last 3 or 4 lines are going to be your conclusion. It's a 9-mark question, so you might have a couple more lines than this, but effectively that's your first peel paragraph, that's your second peel paragraph, and therefore you can see there's not a lot of space to go at. Here we've got the mark scheme. Level 1, Level 2, Level 3. Level 1 is about making limited points. Level 2, you have a clear understanding, you clearly know what's going on. And Level 3 is always a thorough application or understanding. It's the kind of thing where you think, I could read that in a textbook and it'd make perfect sense. If there's spelling, punctuation and grammar, so a threshold performance, that's the lowest. There's going to be quite a few spelling mistakes there, you might miss out a bit of punctuation, but it's kind of clear what's going on. Intermediate performance, that's where you've got good accuracy, but there's 1 or 2 mistakes. High performance is pretty consistent, it's pretty high overall, and you're spelling specialist terms correctly, and also your grammar, your structure really helps with your explanation. Here's a sample answer, and you can see the AO1, AO2 and AO3. AO1 is in red, AO2 is in orange, AO3 is in green. Down the left hand side you can see the different paragraphs. So the introduction, peel 1, 2 and 3. You could just do 2 if you wanted to. And also significantly at the end you've got the conclusion. So the urban regeneration project in Hanley has had many positive impacts and negative impacts upon different groups of people, such as locals. These include the old east-west precinct, which is now called Unity Walk. That's been developed in a multi-use retail area, including shops, restaurants and a cinema. That's going to benefit all age ranges. This is important as all age ranges across the city will benefit from the improved facilities. You can include that, you could talk about the hive in that area as well if you wanted to. Private companies will also benefit from the new Smithfield development that houses some of the council services. Tourists have benefited due to the improved restaurant facilities at the new Premier Inn near to Tesco. These improved facilities are significant in the overall regeneration of Stoke-on-Trent. Commuters have taken advantage of the new £15 million bus station, and a number of streets in that area have been pedestrianised. In conclusion, I believe the urban regeneration project in Stoke-on-Trent is largely significant, especially in the investment in retail areas. All elements of the regeneration project appear to be positive on people, apart from an increase in congestion and pollution due to more visitors in the city and in Hanley. So if you wanted to improve that even further, you could talk about maybe short term and long term in the sentence here. Maybe short term and long term in the sentence here. But if yours looks different, that's absolutely fine, because you might have used different examples.